Okay. So today I'm going to talk about the image map, and what that does is, let me go to my projects here. What it does is it allows you to use a canned set of images that have active areas for you to click on. So let's say, for example, you want a pain scale of, from 1 to 10 of smiley faces. Instead of having a checkbox or a radio button or drop-down list for the user to select what their pain level is, you can have the smiley faces, and the user can just click on those smiley faces, and that whenever they click on one of the faces, it will highlight. And so it's more of a visual representation of the data. So the way that this is implemented is it uses an image map action tag, and that image map action tag is added to the selectable list whenever you click on the action tag button in the field design. And then you just enter the variable for which pane map you want, or which image map you want to use. And currently there are 12 image maps that are available, and they seem to be updating them all the time. When I built the image map explanation in our external modules page, I think there was only 5 or 6, and that was only about a year ago. And each image map has, in every area that is selectable, that area has a value that is stored when you click on it. And so when you click on a single value for like a pain scale, it's just that value is stored. But if you're clicking on, so there's one of a human body, and you can click all the places where the pain is, all of those values are saved in the text field as a separated by commas. So first thing I'm going to do is go over here and enable the module. And as we've said before, if you want a module enabled, then you would just have to email us at redcap@email.arizona.edu and tell us the project name or number and which module you want, and we'll enable that for you. So now that this is enabled, let's go to the designer. I already have them built, but I have one that isn't built, so I'm going to show you that right now. So they have to be a text field, and when we go into the editor here, if I click on action tags, scroll down here, you see that the image map action tag is here now. And if you want to see all of the information, the documentation, you can click on this button and go to the documentation. So I'm just going to click add to add the image map, and all that does is adds the action tag. Now what I have to do is add the value, and I'll show you where to find those values later, but I just want to walk you through each of these options first. So now that I have this selected, we'll save this, and nothing shows up here in the design view. So let me show you how all of these are displayed in a survey, and I'm going to switch over here to Firefox, and let me refresh to make sure it picks up that new one. Alright, so the first option is pane map _ male, and it's a basic representation of a male body, and all of these areas are clickable. So if this person has the pain in their shoulder, the bicep, or the front of their arm, all of these are clickable, and you can turn them on or off, and all of these values are stored in the text box. So this is the first one. This is for male, and we'll go to the next one, and this one's for female, same thing. And if you hover over and keep your mouse there, you'll see that it highlights the body part. So sometimes these get confusing when, are you facing, is this your left arm, or is this your right arm, is it mirrored? And so it's good to have these labels that pop up to let you know where you're actually going to be clicking. And so let me just save some of these so that way we have some data. And this is one of the smile scale, which is, pain or mood represented by smiley faces. And so this one just has the values. And so if we clicked on, we're doing all right today. And here's another, this one's the 5-face pain map. It's a little more festive. And so it's the same sort of thing. Are you really happy? Are you sad? Are you ambivalent? This is a pain scale, but it could also be used for mood, energy levels, that kind of thing, attitude. Oh, let me go back and save that one, just so we have a value. Now this one is a single tooth, and this represents all of the surfaces of the tooth. And so the top part here is the root. The center is what's called the occlusal, which is the top part of the tooth. And then from the top clockwise, it's the buccal area, which is towards the cheek. And then the distal area and the lingual area, which is inward towards the tongue, and then the mesial area. So we would just click where, if you have a project where you're tracking tooth pain or issues regarding teeth, then you want to track where these issues are on the surfaces of a single tooth. But if you have all the teeth, then you would use this one, which is teeth_surface, and it's called an odontogram, and it has all of the teeth, and it's a little small, it's a little hard to see, so you'd have to pay attention to where you're clicking. But if you're going through somebody's mouth and you're making a note of all the areas where they have issues, then this is what you would want to use. So let me just click a few of these. And then this one is just teeth. So if you're just pointing out where, like, maybe you're tracking teeth that people have or teeth that people are missing, you don't care about the surfaces of the teeth. You just want to know if they're there or not, or if they're having problems with specific teeth. This is all you would need.
Somebody from Vanderbilt must be a dentist.
Yeah, there's quite a few teeth ones in here. And then this one was one of the new ones that they've added. This is the PIRADS, which is prostate imaging. And so on these areas that are labeled, those are the areas that are clickable. And if you hover over them, they have the score, the key value, that I believe is what gets saved to the data. So if we just click a few areas here. Now, nothing over here like the urethra or anything on the left here, none of this is clickable on the left. It's just these areas here that have the labeling for the PIRADS. And then this one is called the Rheumatoid Man, and it's for arthritis. It's all of the joints. So none of the areas of the body are clickable, but just these circles. Anything that's a circle is clickable, because that's where your joints are. And if you're experiencing pain in your shoulder, your elbow, a particular finger, or particular joint in your finger, your ankles, your feet, this is where you would mark all that. And this one here is like I was saying in the description up here, it says that the left hand would be depicted on the right side of the screen. So this would be your left hand, this would be your right hand as a person facing you, not mirroring you where this is your left and this is your right. So that's a good distinction to make. And then this one we have, it's called the VA chart, and it's a 2D emotional wheel representation of basically all the feelings you can have. And there's a grid that it gives you. So if you're, if this is a positive attitude that's active, then you're excited, self-confident, courageous. You can check all those if you're enthusiastic. But if you're positive but you're passive, you're peaceful, solemn, hopeful. And then negative, active, and passive. So if you're negative and you're active, then you're angry, hateful, all that stuff. So somebody could go through and check all this, and this might be something where you would want, if you're tracking mood or energy levels across, time, somebody would fill this out every time they had an issue, and you could see these values as they swing from one end to the other, or anything that's changed over time. And I believe if we hover over yes, sir?
Can you click outside the circle?
No, it's just these grid points that highlight.
No, I mean like where it says low power control, for example, or yeah, they're up.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, so anything in the squares you can click.
So that's really hateful.
Yeah. And I think if you highlight over these, I believe these are the values that are saved. We'll have to look whenever we look at the data. So that's the VA chart. And then this one is the Michigan body map. So it's another pain map where you can either check you have no chronic pain, or if you have pain in the head, neck, and shoulders. And then this last one is just called B's. So they consider it an improved pain scale. So it might be an itch. I just need a Band-Aid. It's kind of annoying. This is concerning, but I can still work. B's. I can't stop crying. I can't move. It hurts so bad. Mauled by a bear and ninjas. Unconscious. So this is an interesting pain scale. I'm surprised it's been added to REDCap. Somebody has a sense of humor over there. So those are all of the 12 image maps that are currently in the REDCap image map module. So let me just close the survey and we'll go back to REDCap here. And I'll show you the data. And in the actual form, you'll see here all of the values that we selected. So what it does is it puts that image on the, or the values, in the image in the record so you can just see them visually, even if you're checking for data. But whenever we export the data, you'll see that it's stored as text. So now if we go to the data export, you'll see here for the pain map, then it's picking up the quadrants that it selects, and the same thing for the female smiley face, and the face pain map is just which one you selected. This one is giving you whether it's the link, which tooth number and which side. The same thing here is the tooth number and the side in abbreviations. For the teeth, it's just the tooth number. The PIRADS was the score that they gave it. Same thing with the rheumatoid man. There's a key that they added. And the VA chart, when we looked at the VA chart, if we hovered over them, it gave quadrants, so like negative 0.15 and 0.05. But in the code, it's a different value. It's P132 and P145 and etc. And so those keys are different. So it's not a one-to-one. It's just however they coded that key, and these probably have some sort of correspondence to whatever this VA chart is. And then the same thing with the body, which values we selected, and then B's was just a number, a pain number for that. So a couple of things I want to show you is the documentation. So let me close this. And we'll go back up here. So if we go to external modules and we click on the documentation, this is the page for REDCap that it pulls up, and it goes pretty much through each one of these. And let me get to the GitHub page, which I believe is there. So in the GitHub page, if you look in this documentation down here, it says that the keys are stored in the maps folder right here. So if we go to the GitHub page and we click into the maps folder. Each one of these is the HTML for the pane map. So this is how the pane map is actually, or the image map that's actually working. So if we click on the VA chart and open it up, you'll see here that all of these values are stored here. So this value P1 is where this coordinate is, this 0, 0, and then negative 0.05, negative 0.05 is P2. And so all of these data keys are, they show you where these keys are corresponding to the area that you clicked. So if we go back, maybe we'll pick one that's a little easier to look at, like the 5-face pane map. So here this is saying that the data key for this one is 1, and it's face 1, face 2, face 3, face 4, and face 5. So this way, if you want to look at your data, or if you have like a statistical package where you're trying to run all these values, and you don't have to click on every value to try to figure out what that value is actually going to export as, you can look in this maps folder and pull out this data, pull out the key from this HTML file. Now, a couple things I want to talk about with this image map demo. I was originally going to have a checkbox that allows me to just select which map to show you, so that way I could show and hide maps and it wasn't a huge cumbersome thing. I ended up having to go with a survey because the branching logic for REDCap doesn't like these image maps. So I'll show you this real quick. I have a drop down here that just has male and female for the pane map, and then I'm just going to have the branching logic here that if it says it's male, to show male, and if it's female here, to show female. So now when I go back into add a record, well, it was complaining yesterday, so that'll be good that it's not complaining. For some reason, when I had, and actually it might have been one of these down further, I would get an error that's it's the branching logic error, basically saying that there's values that are being stored, and you can't hide something that has a value in it. So I'll go back and I'll check that to make sure that it might be one of these later ones down here that are new, and we can check that real quick. Yep, looks like it's working fine. So if we go down to the PyRads, it shows up. I'll have to double check that because it was complaining about it yesterday when I was doing it. So let me go ahead and just leave this and turn these off again, because there's another thing I want to show you that I found yesterday, which might not be an issue. We'll have to see. All right, so if you noticed, I did the survey in Firefox when I demoed it. That was because yesterday when I was running through my demo to make sure everything was working in Chrome, not all of the images would pop up. So if I go to the survey distribution tools here and just open up my public survey here, and we'll just click through them. It was one of the later ones that was, and it was random. Some would show up, like this one wouldn't show up yesterday, but then it would. So we'll see if it does the same thing as it did yesterday. So here we go. So this tooth surface one is not showing up now, and and it's just kind of random. Like the PyRads one, I was having a problem with this one yesterday. I had to delete it and add it back, but sometimes it would show up and sometimes it wouldn't. And Terry looked on the Vanderbilt site, and someone had mentioned that if they uninstall the module and reinstall it, then that fixes the problem. So we'll probably see if that'll work after the meeting today. So that was the other issue, is that depending on what browser you're using, you want to test it out. And it could be that I'm using all of the images, so it could be a problem. But I don't know how that would work, because they're all images. Whether you're using 12 of them or one of them, one image shows up, then they all should show up. They're all using basically the same functionality. There's nothing special, or different between each one. So those are the only things that I can think of. And so that's pretty much the image map module. Does anybody have any questions?
I just wanted to say one thing. I don't know if anybody that's listening to this wants. There is an image map called Baker-Wong. It's a pane map. It's fairly common in the industry of pane, and I was asked about it some time ago. Yeah, thanks. Oh yeah, Wong Baker, my fault. Anyway, if you click on it, you'll see what it looks like. All right, so this is the Wong Baker Faceless Pane Scale. And again, it's something that's used in a lot of places, and somebody asked me about it. And so one day I had the time, and I went ahead and created this. So this is available also. We have this, so you can use this. I have not submitted this to Vanderbilt. I've just kept it in-house at the moment. So if anybody needs it, it's available, and at some point we will publish it. But I just wanted to let you know that we do have it available, even though it's not showing up in the documentation.
Sounds good.
That's it.
All right. Well, that's all I have. That's it for me.
All right. Anybody have any questions, issues? All right, then. Thank you all, and we'll look for you next week again.